Hello and welcome to the New York Harbor Railroad's February 19th, 2012 update. This is a construction update. Obviously there's no major construction planned at this time, but we do maintenance and adding new pieces. You're seeing at your screen right now, that's the Hornell from the Erie tugboat fleet, and she's sitting docked right next to the Erie car float. Moving over here to 33rd Street, we'll go back to 28th Street in a moment. Having some problems with M2 and M3. This is the mainline switches basically coming. This is the mainline inbound mainline, and M2 will bring you to the main outbound mainline. And this switch here, M3, divides the train up into the arrival and departure tracks, which are these two tracks right here. It's been an issue lately of where to put the caboose when we're operating, because the caboose tend to be in the way all the time, and we can't, you can't put them on the end of the build track, all of them, because they start eating away at the space. So we've come up with an idea. This was Tom Callan's idea, which is putting a switch here and a switch here, or in this area here, and then having the cabooses sit here in this little area here. We're just having there, see how they look. I think it'll work out. This will have to be a custom, and this one will probably be a regular number 6. This is the meat plant that was at 33rd Street. It actually was on 11th Avenue, and one of the ideas, besides putting the caboose track here, was to take the dump track and put the caboose track here, and move the dump track to here off this switch, and have this track come out and curve and basically go far enough to support about 7 cars, which is a little bit more than what the meat plant could hold. As you know, in my yard, anything coming out of the meat plant has to be cleaned before sending back, and I like to do that for some of the other cars that are in the yard that basically do produce or have to be cleaned up before they're sent back, like Class A box cars. Here's the yard right now after it was left the last op session. This is the track plan for that switch that we did there. Craig did that on Wednesday during our work session. Right here, this is the what used to be a drop bridge, and we had some problems because it was getting out of kilter and transfer derailing here. So Arthur Ross came down and he basically put a little shelf unit in here and put some pins in here, and basically the pins act as a registration mark, and that keeps these perfectly aligned. And so this is no longer a drop bridge, it's now a lift bridge. It comes out. I'm going to be putting a hook on it so that we could hook it up to the side of the layout, and it will basically stay there. The other changes at 28th Street, as we're coming across here, besides obviously the Hornell, is you're looking at an overview of 28th Street. This is Terminal Stores right here. Terminal Stores has a new graphic on it. This graphic is based on photographs of the actual Terminal Stores building. You're seeing inside Terminal Stores right now. And the graphic is based on these windows in brick sheet from Clever Bricks or Clever Models, and these are elements that I made for it. Each one of these bricks is individual that I put in, and using tricks in Photoshop basically make them look like they're popping out and give them that scallop look right up here. That's all done in Photoshop by a brick at a time. This building is about 80 inches long and about 10 or 12 inches tall, depending on how the parapets go. This is the mock-up for 28th Street's Pennsylvania warehouse. Some work's been done in here. This has been done by Phil Monet. He actually relayed some of these turnouts in here. This is the west ladder, this is the east ladder. There were some issues with cars and trains derailing on these switches. This is the Lift-Schultz plant. This is the switch for Lift-Schultz 1, Lift-Schultz 2, West Team, Team 1, Team 2, and then this is Crane Track, and then Crane 1, Crane 2, and that's the auto track over there. We're still working on getting the other parts of the buildings worked on. What's interesting is I moved the tracks back a little bit, which allows the doors now to match up. So you can see now the tracks actually go further back here, but the doors line up with the building now. Actually, the building's supposed to go another ½ inch further back. So once it goes ½ inch further back, it should, basically it lines up okay. But the big thing is it allows us to have a car sitting here at the platform, because there's going to be a shed placed over here. And when that shed goes in here, there's going to be a door, so that car will match up with the door, which is something I was not able to do without extending the tracks. So this is basically 28th Street's updates. And you saw 33rd Street. Here's 27th Street. 27th Street is pretty much covered in work material right now because we've been working on stuff. These are bricks and cinder blocks, and what I'm basically doing now, I'm going to give them a nice primer coat of gray, and I use regular automotive primer. The other issue we're having in this area is that the drop bridge that goes in here was not mating up. The flex track somehow was starting to get out of gauge, mostly from being put in and out, so I put some rail joiners in here so when you put it in, it matches up better now. The other issue that we're having over here was, for the past 18 months, this is not the original tie that was in here, but 18 months ago this failed, and I was using ACC to keep this together. So I had a problem with the switch at the last session, and that is that it wasn't throwing all the way, and then when I investigated it, I realized it was only being held in by one screw. So I had to drop the blue point in order to put the screws in, and since I had to drop the blue point, I put a new PC tie in there and got that all worked out. So now she throws nicely, and then basically she's now electrically better. I did some work on the blue point cabling system. It's not the best in the world, but it actually throws these, because with the switches, the pulls over here going in this direction, it's hard to turn it 90 degrees, and there's not enough room here because all the joists to put in a cam in order to change the direction of the throw, which we did in other places. We're walking around the layout again. We come back to 27th Street's float bridge, and 27th Street's float bridge was having an issue that the track on the float and the track on the bridge, they're moving around. This is the guardrails that have to be glued into place. We're not matching up, and the cars were derailing. So one of the things that I did was that I lifted up the rails on the car float and basically put them in place, so now they run over really smoothly. That's that one. And there you go. And then the nice thing about it is I'm going to move this over here and rail this car. And now, that was not happening before. It was constantly bumping and derailing, so there's a lot of work done here. The other issue we're having is over here at St. John's Park's double crossover. I clear some of the wreckage in front of it. During the middle of the session, the pole for this one broke, and I replaced it, and I did a different change on how it actually connects to the blue point. I wrapped the wire around the blue point now, the pole wire, so now when you push in, it pushes against the blue point. When you pull out, it pulls against the blue point, and most of the force is transferred to the blue point instead of to the little tabs on the blue point throws. So that's it. That's the latest updates on the New York Harbor Railroad for 2012, February. Thank you very much.